If you clicked on this video hoping to learn how Rob Chapman makes money from guitars, then you did the right thing. In this video, Rob and I kind of scratched the surface of how he took his life from being a grubby little guitar playing teenager, and those were his words, not mine, and became what he is today. So let's go over to the chat and see how Rob Chapman makes money with guitars. Hey everybody, I am joined today by someone who I don't really know how to define, so I'll let him do it himself. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Mr. Rob Chapman.
Hello, nice to meet you, Andy. I am Rob Chapman. It's really weird. It feels so disjointed when it's in separate countries via FaceTime. And then I want to look at you, but then my camera is there. So it's a whole world of disjointed, but it's very nice to see you and I miss you.
I miss you too. What's going on in Rob Chapman World at the moment?
Well, I've just ordered a kebab. I live in Malta. My wife is Maltese, my kids are half Maltese. I've got a place here, so we're living in Malta. And I'm in a wicked studio called Corner House. And it's a full-on pro crazy setup, and thankfully the owner and I have both been tested so we can hang out together and have a coffee. And we're all ship-shape and safe and sound, and we can banter and eat food together. And honestly, I've just been really enjoying some vintage amplifiers and pedals, and you want to hear some?
Absolutely.
I've got Mikey Demas from Skindred sent me a honey badger.
Oh, he sent you one, did he? Okay.
He said, yeah. He said, I was going to send one to Andy, but then I thought I'd send it to you instead, Rob. So yeah, and I got this little naughty Maltese pedal from a company called Attic Audio. So here's a Fender Twin from 1965. You know, that's all right. Here's a dirty Maltese pedal from Attic Audio. But if you put a honey badger behind it, F me if I can't get enough of Honey Badger through a 1965 Fender Twin with this here beautiful ML1 Pro X.
Well, you melted faces so hard then you made my lights flicker.
Did I really?
Yeah, you did.
That's a joy to know. By the way, your mum's place is looking really good, Andy. She's done a good job on the back wall.
She's done well. She's doing pretty well. She's at the back sewing at the moment, so I don't really want to disturb her.
You wanted to ask some questions about having a career at being a guitarist or in the world of guitar, or?
Absolutely. It's a series. We're on number 4 or 5 right now about how to make money with the guitars. And the pure definition of that is it doesn't matter what you're doing, but you're somehow making a living, supporting your family and yourself, and having a guitar near you at most of the time. I guess the thing with you is that I've had a guitar educator with David Wallerman. I've had Dracu, who's a rockstar product demonstrator. I've had Henning Pauly, who's a YouTuber. And now I've got you, and you kind of are all of those things.
I suppose to an extent, yeah. I mean, I started off as a dirty, grubby Wiltshire guy that played in bands. And then I kept doing that and taught guitar for just full-time professionally for about 5 years. And then I kept doing that for a bit and got in another band. And then I ended up having too much. I got some session work in for Universal Records, for EMI when that was a thing a long time ago. And then because the session work and the bands were too busy, I stopped teaching. And then that built up. And then I did YouTube because that was a new thing just after MySpace. And YouTube and MySpace became so busy that I stopped doing the band thing for a bit, kept doing session work. And then I got in another band, and then I got a guitar company. And now I don't know where I am.
You're in Malta, awaiting a kebab.
Yeah. So I have done a lot of things in terms of monetizing what I do. It's it's I think what I've learned the most and what I want to get across to the viewers is that this industry is very, very, very small and constantly changing, as this current plague demonstrates. I just shot a video with Lee at Andertons via FaceTime, like I am with you, obviously much more professionally with Andertons. And for anyone watching who doesn't understand British sarcasm, Andy and I are very good friends, and because we're really good friends, we take the piss out of each other severely. I think in America they call that shit talking.
Ah, right. Is that what that means?
I think that's what they mean when they say it.
We rib each other, and we're both from the West Country as well, so we can go proper West Country when we want.
Yeah. For example, the comment about Andy's mum's room looking nice. Clearly, it's not Andy's mum's room. His mum isn't even there. And when he went on to a little dialogue about his mum sewing, she's not there sewing. It's sarcasm. But not everyone understands that, I suppose. Yeah, it's constantly changing world, and a very small one. So everyone knows everybody. Everyone is trying to change at the same rate of speed. It's very difficult. So how do you stay viable? You need to be able to change. You need to be able to do as many aspects of the work as possible yourself, so that you don't need to hire other people to do things for you. But you need to understand your limitations and when it is important to hire somebody else. And if you can bear in mind all those factors, you're good. Bye.
That was actually just over 8 minutes. Well done.
Well, 8 is my lucky number. And I don't know. Yeah, I think...
Well, what you mentioned about the starting off in the band and then progressing through different guitar-related jobs, for want of a better word, lifestyles, it seems that for a while you changed from one to another, but then as soon as you started YouTube, you kind of just kept that going and put things on the side. And then it seems for you, there's obviously some things that are at the forefront of your career and your businesses, but there seems to be like a health bar kind of system in a video game where you're working on one thing for a while and then you work on something else, and you're constantly juggling this stuff. I
really like the health bar game concept. That was good because it got me excited about Diablo for a minute. Yeah, I mean, look, what you've got to juggle, because you were doing that with your hands, and what you have to juggle is that some areas that make you lots of money aren't necessarily the areas that you might have the most passion in. So, for example, I would be retained by a retail store to review and demonstrate guitar product. Now, I do that for 3 different stores. So that's a really good earner. Releasing an album might make me some money, but it might not be as much over a year as demonstrating product for 3 retail stores. So would I rather just spend all of my time, at Andertons drinking coffee with Pete Lee and beer? Yeah, I probably would do. But do I have a craving for releasing music? Yeah, I do. So it's a balance, And it's really important to focus in on what you love, because that will ultimately bring you what you need, but you've got to bring in the bacon. And for me, it was a balancing match of making sure that my time was divided equally amongst the things that I love, whether or not they make any money, I don't care, and things that definitely bring in money, but I have to enjoy doing them. I would never do a job that I didn't enjoy. So, for example, I'd never review a product I didn't like. If I don't like it, for example, at Andertons, Lee goes, hey, we're going to do a demo, it's this pedal, I'll play it, and if I really don't like it, I go, sorry, man, I'm just not doing it. I don't vibe it. It won't do the brand any good. It's not, I'll be doing them a disservice. So I just say, no, I'm really not up for that. Let's think of something else. And so you have to balance things that you love and things that you don't, and monetize every available facet of your creative output.
Okay, well, let's think of someone who is in their younger years, say, or in their younger years in terms of wanting to use guitar as a way of making money. So they don't actually have to be young, but they're just starting out of this. What's the Rob Chapman tip for making money with guitars at the moment? Where would you put your money?
Yeah, I got loads of tips. So when I started out and I was teaching, I started teaching guitar for £5 an hour in London, and I knew my basic theory and I could play okay, but I wasn't any kind of amazing guitar player, but I could play. So I taught for £5 an hour. But then I thought, when you go to Burger King and you get your Whopper with whatever, they go, do you want to have fries with that? Well, fries with that for me was, do you want me to set up your guitar for you? While you're here, after our 45-minute lesson, do you want me to spend 20 minutes just setting up your guitar? Because I was pretty good at that. And they'd be like, yeah, sure, how much? And I go, £5. They'd be like, all right. And then I go, do you want me to put some strings on it? Now, I would buy bulk worth of strings from a local shop, get a bit of a discount, and then sell them for a little bit more, like £1 more. It wasn't a lot, but it was a bit. And they go, well, how much? Well, I don't know, £5. And then I'd make £2 from that. So I ended up making £12 for an hour, which back in 1953 or whatever it was, it was good money. You know, to be on £12 an hour or wherever it ended up being was pretty good. And this concept of additional things that I could do to help stuck with me. So then many years later, teaching in Wiltshire, where I would charge £30 an hour, and I've been doing session work, and I've been working with pretty well-known producers, and I had a name in my locality, charged £30 an hour, and I would do setups and restrings. If you wanted someone to help you write some music, I would write with you. I would record a song with you. Students used to come to me, and I would record, and we'd come up with verses and bridges, and I would essentially session for my students on projects or bands they were in, or help with the video edit, because I'd started to do that. Basically, or did you want to make a poster for your band's gig? Because I make posters all the time advertising my guitar tuition. It was any area that I could monetize that I would do. And so my £30 an hour would turn into a 2-hour lesson for about 80 quid. But the student really got money's worth for it.
So it sounds, there's two things I'm taking from that. The first one is that once you have someone who gives you some money, it's easier to get them to give you some more money.
It is. And something else I was really key for me was not to rip off anybody. So for example, some of these students would want to come to me every single week, or they would want to come twice a week. Like I had one guy, he had a lot of money, and he wanted to come like every other day. And I would say to him, you know, look, I'm more than happy to have you turn up every other day, but you don't need to, and you're not really practicing what I'm giving you. So you need to stop, take some time, and then when you are ready, call me, book in. The whole concept of come for a weekly lesson or come for a fortnightly or monthly lesson, to me, that was the teachers wanting to just get regular income they could depend upon. So for me, with my students, although some of them would come regularly because they wanted to, more often than not, I would say to them, when you're ready, just give me a call. Because only they are going to know when they've digested the Lydian scale shape or whatever it is I'd shown them, and they were ready for part deux of Chappa's slice of knowledge. So I didn't have a structured, you come every week with my lessons.
Okay, well, that's the second thing I took from what you said is the value for money aspect. And one thing I've learned from doing what I do is you have to give something that this person needs. So you have to figure out what it is that someone needs and then give them that. Yeah,
and sometimes what that person needed was just a chat and a cup of coffee, which I was fine with. In fact, I did have a couple of students that would just say to me, man, I just like hanging out. And I had some amazing friends that would just come and hang out and then pay me. And I'd say to them, you can't, we just meet up for a coffee somewhere. You don't have to do this. They're like, no, I like coming. And if I want to learn something, I can, but I like to hang out and chat and chill. And it became kind of a common fixture that students would just become friends and stay, which was really nice. And I miss my time teaching. But things obviously progressed for me, and now I make a lot more of a living from not teaching than from teaching. Although I am actually in the process of filming probably something I will be the most proud of in my life from a tuition point of view, which is a new tuition, like an old-fashioned tuition DVD, but it's not a DVD. It'll be a download, and it will be a time capsule of knowledge to cover every facet of a guitarist's life and career. So that's going to be exciting.
Wow, is that an exclusive or just a shameless plug?
It's an exclusive. I'm calling it Greetings, the Guitarist's Grimoire.
So I guess another thing you're known for is branding things. So Greetings is a Rob Chapman-ism. And from knowing you a little bit and becoming friends, I know that you're really, really cool at branding things and having ideas, but having a name for those ideas is almost as important as the idea itself.
It is, yeah, because this could be, I don't know, the brand could be Dave's, or I don't know, it could be anything, and it might not be as exciting, but for some reason the name Chapman, it sounded like a guitar company to me. And actually, I can't talk about that. I've got some other things I'll tell you about afterwards. Yeah. If I had a skill that I'm thankful for, it would be I know when something sounds like a brand. I mean, and also I have to be honest and say I worked for Richard Branson for a bit, and I learned quite a lot from him.
Richard Branson of Virgin fame?
I haven't told people online about this really, but I used to work for Richard Branson, and I very lucky to have 45 minutes of his time to have a proper heart-to-heart chat and talk about how he did what he did, and he gave me the download. I linked USB cable to his brain, and I learned about branding and marketing, and then I applied every goddamn thing he told me to my life, and now I have Chapman Guitars and Snake Oil fine instruments, and everything I do seem to have worked out.
Are we going to see a Chapman Airlines at some point?
No.
Because there could be some airplanes going cheap at the moment.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that would be not something I would ever want to be involved in. It's not friendly for the environment, Andy. We should be using big bouncy trampolines instead.
Do you have a trampoline currently at home?
No, they're banned in Malta.
I really don't know if that's serious or not, but I'm going to take it as serious because I think that's an amazing fact that I'm now going to tell people for the rest of my life. Hey, Steve, what? Did you know trampolines are banned in Malta?
You got to tell them the Ferris thing that I told you.
What Ferris thing? I've forgotten it already.
Oh, come on, man. You don't remember the Ferris wheel?
Yes.
Was invented.
Yes.
In the same place that Ferris Bueller was filmed.
That was it. Then that's why it's called a Ferris wheel.
Yeah, look, if you want to make money doing anything, it doesn't matter whether it's the guitar or it's opening a cafe, the principles are exactly the same. The first thing is you have to treat it like a job. It has to be a real thing. Being a guitar player in a band is really cool and exciting, but just because it's cool and exciting doesn't mean you can't give it simple business practice. Purchase ledger, sales ledger. What are you selling? What are you selling is the key. I am selling my personality, my brand, my time, my products, my music, digital products, physical products. The worst thing you can do is sell your time because you have a finite amount of time. The best thing you can sell is IP because you have an unlimited amount of IP. And so I have been very careful to sell time, IP, likeness, product, services, everything, every little nook and cranny. But you can apply that all to anything. If you're opening a cafe, what's on the menu? Because the cafe menu of Chappers is, I'll do a demonstration, I'll give you a motivational talk, I'll play a gig, I'll design you a product for other brands, which I have done extensively. I'll, whatever. I'll do session work. I did a vocal session for a French metal band about 6 months ago. I do everything. And it's about monetizing every single one of your facets and not being afraid to make mistakes, you know.
Wherever I am right now, I'm here because I've made mistakes and thought, whoops, don't do that again. And then done it again, you know, and then eventually got to where I am right now. Let's say that someone has a guitar and they're learning guitar and they're thinking, okay, I want to do this as a career. And there's so many options to now these days to be a person near a guitar and have a living from it. What other sort of skills does a person need apart from being able to play the guitar, in your opinion?
Okay, so I not to plug a thing that doesn't exist yet, but in this, in Greetings, the Guitarist's Group, I will go into depth on skills that I think you need to acquire. But it's really crucial that anyone that wants to have a career in any industry understands the toolkit required. From my point of view, you need to be able to capture every facet of what you do for sale. So can you record audio? You need to. Do you own a mic? You need one. What's your DAW? What's your interface? What's your preamp? Can you set it all up? Can you mic up a cab? If you can't record audio, go and learn to do that. Can you drive to a venue and do that? No. Why? I can't drive a car. Learn to drive a car. Can you make a YouTube thumbnail and an Instagram post with a swipe up link? And no, well then learn to download Canva to your phone and learn how to make a thumbnail. It's, understand Logic, understand Final Cut Pro, understand, or Adobe Premiere, whatever you're going to use. Any facet of what you do, learn how to capture it for sale. And then you will find that one thing you create can be monetized many different ways. For example, this video could be transcribed and put into a small ebook, or the audio could be captured and released on a podcast. The video can be put on YouTube. A condensed version can be edited and put on Instagram.
If only someone had thought about doing that and didn't want to mention it yet.
Okay, so you're behind that massive afro, you have a giant brain. You can take one thing and make it many things and monetize it many ways. As long as you are artistically and creatively happy with what you're doing, learn all the skills you need to dominate what you do. For example, if you want to shoot a music video, it's better if you can shoot it yourself. I don't have a cameraman. Get a drone. Get a drone that follows you. I have a couple of static cameras. I can't afford a camera. Use an iPhone. Use 2 iPhones, set to 4K, 24 frames a second, and then have a drone. I can't afford a drone. Borrow a drone. And it's really important to never stop because you can't do something, but instead think about the things that you can do. So if you can't afford to hire or borrow a drone, don't bother with the drone. Do what I did. Throw your iPhone into the sky really high and have it land in the sand on a beach, and do that 50 times and throw it different ways so that you get these arcing, interesting shots as if they're filmed with a drone, but actually it's just you throwing your iPhone on the beach.
Having spoken to certain people doing this series, one thing I've learned so far is that it's actually pretty simple to succeed, or at least to overcome one's own barriers, the ones you've set in front of yourself.
Well, success is defined by the individual because, for example, someone might say, okay, I'm earning £1,000 a month. That's success. Somebody might say, I'm earning £24,000 a month. That's success. In between is all success. What it really comes down to, I think, from talking to lots of people, is they want what they love to replace what they don't love.
Yes.
So, and I think it is possible now to make or monetize a career around, for example, guitar, without even playing. I mean, I like it when people can play because I love people that play the guitar. But I think, there are companies like, what are they called? There's a company that makes all the really cool bits for guitars. Is it All Parts or?
There's All Parts. I think they're a distributor.
No, there's a tool company. Anyway, they make YouTube videos where they just talk about fixing and setting up guitars and stuff. That's really cool. That's a lucrative idea and a concept, and different kinds of scenarios. Somebody broke this part of the guitar, how to fix it, and what kind of noodles to use. I'm just kidding.
Well, I guess the most famous non-player would be Leo Fender.
Yeah, who grew up in Anaheim, home of the NAMM show.
I did not know that.
Ah. But do you know who invented the electric guitar?
Ferris Bueller.
No. It was Adolf. Adolf Rickenbacker.
Okay.
He came up with the frying pan looking guitar with electric pickup. Oh, my movie has stopped recording automatically because it was so bored by what I was talking about. Let me just. Okay, hold on. Let me just start recording again. And that's how you make £1 million a day through that style of vibrato is what does it, Andy. I'll tell you what. Here's the thing people don't talk about. It's much more effective to save money than to earn money.
Okay.
Let me explain that. If I earn some money, I have to pay tax on that earning. I'm VAT registered. I have to pay VAT on that earning. I have to pay corporation tax on that earning. That's 3 taxes now. I lose 40% of anything I earn. If I don't spend £50 on something I didn't really need, I've saved all of that £50. To earn £50, I have to earn more than £50. So it is more effective to save money than to earn money.
But that's assuming you have money coming in the first place.
But it is 40% more efficient to not spend than to earn.
I know I'm taking the mickey, but that is very good advice.
A lot of people watching this, go onto your phone and work out your monthly Just Eat bill. If it's less than £100, I'll be amazed. People spend a lot of money on things they don't need to spend money on. And then you can afford to earn less. And if you can afford to earn less doing something you love, you'll be richer inside because you'll be doing something that you like.
I've actually just gone through a very similar process because for a long time as a musician trying to make money with a guitar, I was earning very, very little money and therefore living the lifestyle of someone who didn't earn very much money. And then I started to earn more money, as the work came in, as you're saying, and you're working hard, finally money comes in. And then lo and behold, I started spending money. And it was, for example, I was using an online storage facility that was costing me €12 a month. And I looked at the online and I could have the same service for €2 a month because I wasn't fully using the more expensive one. And that's a small thing, but I've just saved myself over €100 a year.
Which you could spend on Just Eat. Oh, wait. I've only got 20% battery power left on my phone to look at your afro.
I like the fact that you were talking about don't sell your time. That's the last thing that you should really sell because there's a finite amount of that.
Selling your time is the worst thing. Selling IP is the best thing. By which I'm talking about intellectual property. So if you come up with a concept, say for example, I came up with an idea for a groundbreaking digital affordable amplifier and I sell that concept to a well-known brand and then they market it, well, I'll get a ton of cash and I just had an idea. So that was effective,
Behind all that, Rob, is the connections you currently have, the right phone numbers, the people, the gravitas that you have, that someone just doesn't say, "Who's this crazy guy with a new crazy idea?" You know, you had to have built that through doing your gigs, through doing your teaching, through doing your YouTube. You know, your Chapman Guitars, the Snake Oil, everything.
You got to. I think I don't know whether it was Phil X that said this to me, and we both agreed, or someone else. But I think I was on a tour with Phil, and we were talking about support bands because the Drills and Dorje did a bunch of tours around the UK, and every gig we had support bands, and everyone starts off as a support band. There's a point to this story. Some support bands know how to be a support band, and some support bands don't know how to be a support band. And Phil and I noticed that the bands that were friendly, excited, humble, patient, set up, did the thing, got off, and then came for a chat in a room afterwards, we remembered them. And we still know some of them. The guys that were like, "Oh yeah, so just got off stage with whoever," and tried to, just didn't have the friendly attitude, and they weren't supporting in their efforts. We don't remember them. And I think that experience stuck with me. Learn to be a support band in everything that you do. So if you get paid to demonstrate products at a guitar store, be early, capture extra footage, come up with cool ideas even if you're not needed to, make coffee for other people, be a support band, you know, and then you might find that you're around longer and, you know, you have a better time. Make friends. Don't do drugs, kids.
Just say no. Mate, it's always a pleasure talking with you, and it's
Well, not always, Andy. I mean, sometimes, I phone you, my kids are screaming, and you're like, "Oh, Rob, come on, man." It's I can't wait until this bullshit is over and we can have a beer at a hotel and just talk crap and all that kind of stuff. I love you, man.
I love you too, brother.
We should do this more often. Can I plug a really cool guitar brand?
Absolutely.
This is a beautiful guitar from one of my favorite guitar brands called Chapman Guitars. They're made by hand in Kathmandu in Nepal, and they're amazing people, and they made this for me, and I love it. It's one of my favorite guitars of all time. If you've got a spare 2 minutes and you want to go and get excited, go and check out Chapman Guitars. You know what? I'm going to plug it in for you. Can you make sure that you bleep out that word that I just said with That would be good. Thank you.
While Rob's doing that, I just want to point out to the viewer that's watching this, hello, that one thing I've noticed that Rob's done but not talked about is never miss an opportunity. And I don't mean that in a sleazy, evil salesman way, but, you've got me on camera, you've got the attention of my subscribers, who are high-quality, fine people, and here you are showing them a guitar.
Of a brand that I don't own, because I want to support them, because I'm being a good support band. So look, it's got an on knob. It's either on or off. I prefer it on. If you add a honey badger, it sounds like this. like an angry mountain-dwelling yeti riding an elephant into battle, screaming, "Buy a hoochill from Sahana," or something like that.
I can't hear it, obviously, people. I'm going to have to wait till the edit of this because I'm hearing it through my WhatsApp app on my phone. And this time it caused the phone to flicker. So I don't know what's going on between Malta and Austria, but flicker-tastic.
Yeah, you know what? I think my kebab just arrived, so I might have to nip off and nosh.
I wish you the best with your kebab. I wish you total kebab success.
Thanks, man.
Mate, thank you. I will speak to you soon. I'll wait for my kids to start screaming, and then I'll call you.
Okay, yeah, please do that, and I'll wait till mine are crying, and then we'll just put them on the phone, and then it'll like cancel it out. Like when you get the right two couple of frequencies, it cancels them out. That'll probably happen.
Bye, everybody. Thank you, Rob Chapman. I hope you enjoyed that chat with Rob, and I hope you learned something. I know that I did, and I'm going to go and put those things into practice kind of right now. If there's someone who makes money from playing guitar that you think I should be interviewing, then let me know in the comment section down below who that is. Otherwise, I'll see you in one of these videos. Thank you for watching. Cheers.